So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show, live Thursdays. It's recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I'm in my new room, so we do have bunnies popping about and hopping and stamping and doing bunny noises, so apologies for that. I'm working with the Graphitint from Derwent, and there's 24 really nice colours. I do wish there's 72, but proves you don't need really 72 colours. It's just I'm a bit greedy because of the other sets that they have. But I wanted to show the difference. Now last year I worked with a Graphitint and I altered the page in a Johanna's book. And just recently I've been using all my pencils dry. And I really liked, and I've managed to finish a little bit up here and a little bit here. The rest of it wants to be darkened and highlights, and the darks to be very darks, and the little birds to pop out a bit more so they look like they're actually sitting out rather than to darken the back of here. But I like the grunginess, I like the darkness. So you can use the Derwent watercolour pencils, the Graphitints and the other ones in both dry to get the full colour blendable effect, or you can use a bit of colour and use a rigger or a very barely damp brush and use them to make a watercolour effect to get a paler colours. So I thought I would do a comparison, and because last year I bought the Johanna Christmas book again, I thought I would alter the clock page again. So that's what it looked like before. And I have my little sticky notes because I forget things. And this is what it looked like when I'd finished it. So this is Derwent Graphitint. So there's no bright colours. They're all a little bit kind of grungy. It's basically like a pencil, a 2B pencil with a little hint of colour. So I thought I would alter this one. And sometimes you do something and you like it, and I loved it when I first did it, but now I see it a year later, I'm not really enamoured about it. I liked certain things about it, but I think these are maybe a bit too small for this. Now I did use this particular one because I cannot draw like Johanna. Everything I draw, I think she must be right-handed, and her curls are different to mine. Really can't do. So my first attempt at altering Johanna's books was a complete disaster. The curls are really bad, and this is what I loved it because this is what it looked like originally. I actually quite enjoyed it like this because at this particular point I didn't do backgrounds. Right in the middle. So I wanted to fill the page and leave the background and do kind of really bright colours, and then I put a little bit of clear stickles on the baubles, so we have a bit of a stickle going on all the baubles and on the deer's little saddles. But my curls were a complete disaster, so I started to trace. Now there are a few videos on this, and I can't remember what I did. I don't think I did anything with this particular one, so we'll very quickly have a run through. I just did the sticklers, the sparkles again. This was the next one that I altered, the birds, and again I loved it but wanted something around the back, so I took my tracing paper and I traced, and then I flipped it over and I used it reversed, or I turned it round and reversed it, and there was 2 points yet, so I put an extra one in here. I think it's that one that I turned round, it may even be that one, and I tucked it underneath, and luckily my drawing pen, which I have a set of, just bear with me 2 seconds because I have Rotring Isograph. And I love, oops, they're upside down. You can buy them individually. They're about 30 odd pounds, but they're refillable. You get Indian ink, which is permanent, so you can draw on here in a couple of minutes. You can watercolour on it, and I love it. And some of my pens, I just use in here, and I get them straight out. Don't know where they are now. There they go. And I use them, and you can draw straight away. Now watch this become a liar, but here we go. There we go. No messing, and I haven't used this pen for quite a few weeks. So I love that. Love it. And it just so happens that the particular 1.25 is the exact same line as the actual Johanna's drawing. So I quite like that. So it's a case of tracing it and then drawing over it, then rubbing your lines away like you used to when you were a child. So it's quite simple, but it just makes that you can fill what is a beautiful display. And there's no way I can draw any of these like Johanna. My other attempt, which I'll go through in a second, failed abysmally. Really did. The next one I did was the bunny one. We'll have a very quick flip through. Again, the bunny one, I wanted a bit more small bluebells. So again, just copied it and reversed it, and then there was a little present, and on the back page there are some presents on the back pages to practice, and so I used it for a little present. So he had his paw on something. So the next one was this particular one. I didn't do anything with that one. I just used some very bright colours. I don't think I did anything at all. I think I just did as it was. And the next one was this one. And again, I wanted, love the colours, love the idea, love the baubles, but I wanted a full page. So again, I've copied them, I reversed them, and they look a lot better because I didn't draw them, I traced them. So they are truly Johanna's designs. I've just kind of rearranged them, but there's no extra drawing from me. And I think I did draw some extra parcels on this one, but I haven't finished it. I think that's probably, there was the little robins. This one again, I loved it, but I didn't do backgrounds in those days a year ago. Didn't really like doing backgrounds, so I didn't want to waste that gorgeous ivory colour. Oh, I think that one might be. So again, I filled out these curls and then redrew them and then filled them in, and then again put some stickles on the actual animal. So she's shiny. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kenny. The tree was the disaster. There's a little robin here and a little robin there. So I thought, oh, I'm going to put a little robin there. And don't ever anybody tell you that I went to art college, because this was my abysmal, ridiculous, horrible little robin. And the baubles are completely pants. I don't know what I was thinking, but all my baubles were pants. So really failed. That's when I decided I have to trace Johanna's. I could probably doodle one of my own, but not in Johanna's style, because it's just not my style. The other one, I think this is the first one I altered, was the little bird. I pinched the robin from one of the back pages. I don't know which one it was, that was one of the first ones. So I pinched the robin, and I like the one with the pattern on the face, but I reversed it so he's facing the other way. And then I put some extra ivy things in as well. So again, I quite liked that. So I put a robin in there and then put some foliage. Now this one I'm going to put, I don't think I like these colours. I'm going to put these particular ones, I'm going to put them out and about. So I'm going to completely fill it. And I'll probably put, there's only room for one robin I think, unless I move the robins slightly. So I'm going to have a play with that one as well. And I think that was all I did. Oh, and this one. This is the last one I've done. And I've done that with the pencils. And again, absolutely loved it, but didn't like the space. So I've copied Johanna's beads. Oh no, I didn't, beg your pardon. I was going to put the beads down the back there, because I think we might have some Johanna's beads there. But I can't really draw neat like that, so I'll trace them and then I'll draw them down there. I did just plain lines, and then I traced some of the baubles from other pages, so all the baubles should be different. Oh, I put that one over there, didn't I? So I've mixed them about a bit, because I didn't want, and I wanted to fill the page, so I stole one of the, I stole the stags from here, and I put them here, facing in. You can either face them in or face them out, depending on what you wanted, but I wanted them to face in. And then I might do something here, another bauble. So they're kind of, there's something I want here, and there's something I want just down there. So I haven't quite decided what I want, so I've left it. Because I'm not sure, I've left it. But I do like the centre one, and again, I pinched this from another page. The thing with the same artist pages is the whole book is Johanna's. Everything will match because it's come from her hand. I might have traced the bauble from here. It might have been the one that's on its own. I think it's the one they're on their own, and there's just some baubles. Let me just find it. That one. I think it's one of these. Which one is it? I think it's, no, it's not that one. Oh, it might have been on the back page. It might have been on a back page, I think. It's definitely from Johanna's, and it's just one that I thought, that I looked through. There are some bigger ones, there are some smaller ones, but that's the one that I chose. Of course, you can do whichever one you want. That would have been quite nice. Just something to just fill this area here. If you just put one, we would have had a gap. So I've put one with a little tiny one on. I'm not sure it was on that page. Actually, I think I like that one better. I would have probably put that one on. Should have put that one on because I like that one. But there's nothing to stop me putting that one here. Now I know that it works, I can put that one here. So you can do whatever you want with the colour books. I'm not clever enough to draw and add to them because it's, again, somebody else's style. Oh, thank you, Kenny, thank you. It just makes it that if you like these, and this page is gorgeous, it's like an ivory colour, it lends itself to be just plain, I think. But again, if you're going to leave it plain, you need to fill the page. Again, tight Yorkshire lass, I like to, it's like when I'm doing a canvas, I like to use every corner, can't do gaps. So, back to the, and I can't remember, oh, that's what I was doing. Back to this one. So I can put this away now. I had a bit of a think. I like this one, and the other, again, tight Yorkshire lass. I don't trace in the middle, I trace on the edge. And what this happened was I had 4 pieces of tracing paper for all of the different pages that I've done. And I could use this holly on another page, but it was in the corner. There was some holly, and then I had the twisty one went down here, then I reversed it and I used it down there, and you can just turn it a bit if you've got one curl out. The best thing to do is to draw a design for one side and turn it over and see if it will fit on both sides. If it doesn't, draw another one and see if that one will fit. You can move them and change them, unless it's supposed to be upright. But if it doesn't, you can change things to be whatever you want. I couldn't decide whether to put some baubles down here, but I think I will actually, so I could do that first. So I have my Faber-Castell Grip Plus 0.7, and I use it because it's so easy on your hands, and it's a 2B. So top corner, and again, oops, for some reason it's not working. And it's just a very soft, now because I'm using a soft pencil, I do this the easy way. Now you can do it, you can just do the dots at another time. So that's one bauble, and because these are next to each other, and you don't need a point as such because you are going to go over this with your pen, and your pen is fine. It's a fine liner. There's another Hannah Carlson, and that books, oops, those books, again I've gone over that line, but it doesn't matter because it's the tracing, it's not important. I can rectify that, and then you just can just show that you've got some dots. So if I move that to one side, I've got 2. Now those 2 are, if you look, so that's what Johanna's done. She's drawn them once and then she's used them exactly on the other side. So we need to change that. So the other thing to do is, now I've got these, I can look at the size. So some of these work quite well. So this one here is the same. So I can look for different ones or the same. And this is the right size. If you were looking at something here, they might be too small. If you were looking at one of the other ones, they would be too big. But you can trace them and try them, and you'll think, well, actually, no, that is far too big. It spoils the original design. So you don't have to alter it too much. But you need to kind of think about the overall design. I mean, you may want the big baubles in front. It's your colour book. That's fine. I tried to make it look like Johanna's done it because, you know, that's why I traced them. So, again, I think that might be a bit big, and that one. But I've got this guide now. I have this guide, so I can put the little star next to this one. And, again, tight Yorkshire lass. But what this is going to give me, not just for Johanna's books, but anything else I want, I now have a tracing of quite a few little baubles. Now, I personally wouldn't use them other than a Johanna colour book because they're Johanna's. So you see, if you look at those, they look like they are the same size. So I know that star, wherever I decide to put it, is going to look okay. Now, I am not going to do this first. I will do the bauble, the ivy first, and then put the baubles on. But I just wanted to trace a few of these. So I've got some nice, I've just got some nice designs. And again, I think it's because I'm left-handed, but I would not get these neat and tidy. I am such a scruffy girl. And then instead of doing all the dots, you can just show that there are dots, and then you can be more precise with your ink pen. Ah, well, this is the beauty, Kenny. Kenny says, I haven't traced for years, how do you transfer? This is a soft pencil, but you can do it in any HB. You flip it over and you trace it. Now, I do know I might not put Ivy under there. And if you trace over here, just the line, you will have your image. And the beauty of that is you've drawn it once, you've got your tracing, and you've got your image. But when you turn that back over, because you've now drawn on both sides, you've got 2 more carbon copies. You don't have to write it out again, you don't have to scribble, and this will stay forever. You're not ruining it, whereas before you used to have to scrape it over and you've lost it. You don't lose it, you just draw it again and you've got it. So I will do that very quickly, show you that, because that's what I love about it. You just need children's cheap tracing paper. You could do it with baking parchment if you've got some greaseproof paper, anything you can see through. If you have a light box or you have a window on a bright day, you can tape this up, and if you're going to cut these out, you can tape these up onto the window with that, and it will show through, and you can trace it on ordinary photocopy paper. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at one of these. Oh, actually, we could do it on here. They're a bit bigger, those. They are a little bit bigger. Let me see if I can find that one again. So I've drawn it on that. No, I've drawn it on that side. Drawn it on this side. I'll do another quick one. We haven't got that bauble, and the tighter you are together, the more you're going to get on one page. So I mean, you don't need to do that, but I like the fact that all these baubles, big, small, medium, are all going to be on this page, and I can do 2 things. I can tape it into the book and leave it, so I've always got these colours, or I can put it in a file with all my other tracings if I want to, or you can throw it away. Just, you've always got it. So turn that over, and then you want to find where you want to put it. So I'll zoom in a bit, zoom in a little bit. Now, it wouldn't work with a hard pencil like an HB, an H2H, 3H, but it should quite easily work. So if you can see, you move it where you want, whichever one you want to put where. So if we want to put this little tiny one maybe here, you trace it. Now this is a tracing, this isn't the final one, this is a tracing. And you just put your dots, and then you just do this. And bearing in mind, it's quite fine as this, it's 0.7. So when I move that, I have a faint tracing. You can see that. That is a faint, oopsie, sorry, it's not picking up very well, but it's a faint tracing. So I take my, my little book and my pen, which I've just bobbed somewhere. And just bear with me 2 seconds. So you take this, and I'm just going to wipe with a baby wipe that hasn't got any bunny hairs on it, just to make it cleaner. And then you can just do a practice. Now these pens you have to keep vertical, but this has been in my pencil case kicking about for a long time. So I want to just kind of do this. Now if you're doing a circle, sometimes it's a lot easier to do your own. And again, I'm not that particularly neat, so. And then the other thing I do is I do take normally a ruler, but I can't find one, and I do use a ruler for this, and then you can put that behind the leaf, and you have a little bauble. And then I'd leave that for a few minutes till I'd finished the whole page, and then I'll just erase the little tiny bit of pencil that you can see, and that's done. So I have got my tracing for another time, and because I've used it like this, I can turn that over. Now it doesn't really matter with this particular one because it's symmetrical, but if it was the ivy, you can turn the ivy around and you will have two completely different ones. So I hope that made it quite simple. And that's how I go along, looking through the book. It's good to stay with the same book. Now obviously if you've got a lot of Johanna's in the series, there's quite a few books, you can look at her other books and you can incorporate her other designs in there as well. And then you can mix and match. They're still going to be Johanna's, but you've just altered them very slightly. But I actually don't want to do that. I think I love the fact Johanna's made this lovely design for me to colour in. I just don't want to do a background. And that's the reason why. I just want to just fill the page because I'm a tight Yorkshire lass. And that's exactly what I did with this page. I knew I couldn't get the curls right because I think Johanna is right-handed and I'm left-handed, so my curls naturally go a different way, so they look completely disastrous if I do them on my own. So I just followed a particular one, turned it over and turned it round and curled it back round. And when I get more organised, I'll go through the tracings and I'll show you just where you can really change them. This is an upside down one of this one, and that one's a curl of that one. And it doesn't, I don't think it detracts. It's not as simple as Johanna's because hers was a beautiful kind of bubble image. But I kind of still like mine as again. And it's sometimes nice to just tweak it a little bit, but it's still all Johanna's drawings because I've traced them. There's nothing of mine in here. It's just Johanna's. But I've just decided that I don't like backgrounds and I want to fill this gorgeous design she's done and fill the page. And I will do the same with this one. I might do it slightly differently because I'm slightly better at it now. I think like this particular one, I know that my designs are slightly out, so I mean, I absolutely love that. It's so classic and simple, but to colour, I quite like the fact that I've no background, but it's still purely Johanna's. Every curl you can see somewhere. But as I say, you must always state that it is all Johanna's work because it is all Johanna's work when you're tracing. But that's what I wanted to show. So that's a really simple way of using this, and then you've got this forever. Well, when you used to push it down and scribble when we were children, you can't see anything. So now I can turn this over and I can probably use it half a dozen times. Until the actual tracing paper goes through. And I use the same pencil because if you use the same pencil one way, and you use it if you have a point, or if you've got the mechanical pencil, when you turn it over, you've technically inked or penciled the other side. So every time you turn it over, you have a new kind of, it's like inking, you ink and then you use it. But every time you turn it over, you're recarbonising is probably a better word. So that's what I'm going to do with this particular page. I'm going to kind of carry on, and I'm going to go through the ivies and pick. Now I've done it once, you can always do a better job the second time. So I've got my baubles, and I think they're very similar, so I can now go down here and pick out some nice baubles. I may have a couple from the end of here, not too many, but before I use the baubles, I'm going to do the ivy, because the ivy has got to flow, and so I need all this space to flow the ivy. And then when I've got the ivy in, if there's a space for a couple of these baubles, then I'll have the baubles. But it should look fairly similar, but I am actually going to do this in the Derwent Graphitint, more of a grungy colour. So it will be using the exact same product, but it will be a darker version. So there probably will be a background on that one. So it's going to be this design, but it's going to be using the Derwent Graphitint, which are very, very dark, if you use them as a grungy dark kind of medium. So that's the end of part 1 of the Johann Basford's Christmas. It's the clock page in Derwent Graphitint. Thank you for watching.